Okay, yogis, thank you for being here. I'm very, very honored that you've chosen to spend the next hour with me and actually spending the next hour with yourself. This is the very important part of your day, just to focus on yourself. And we'll start doing that with the very most important thing that we can do for our body, which is, guess what? You got it, deep breathing. So let's sit up tall, close our eyes, and focus on our deep yoga breath. In and out of the nose. Big, long, full breaths. Filling all the way down to your belly. And as you're breathing, mindfully follow your breath and feel how your diaphragm contracts and relaxes with each breath. Feel how your organs are being massaged with each breath. Feel your rib cage expand with each breath. And feel the back of your ribs expand. We don't think about inhaling to our backs, but our lungs inflate in the back too. So think about your backs inflating, the back of your lungs inflating as you inhale. If you think it, it will happen. Take one more deep yoga breath at your own pace. Bring your breathing back to normal. And a fellow yogi who's here today actually asked me to bring back my opening Om chant that I stopped doing after I started doing virtual yoga, but now we're going to do it again. So I'm going to chant in Om. If you feel like it, please join me. Take a deep breath in first. Exhale completely. Inhale and we'll Om. Ambalu Satguru Bhagavan Ki, the divine is the inner teacher. So even though we can't hear each other oming to ourselves does a wonderful thing to calm the nervous system and focus on yourself. And then here's a tip, try oming in the shower. It's wonderful. It's like singing in the shower, but it's better. All right, so we're moving on to a series called 7 Essential Yoga Movements. And I'll tell you what all these are as we go through the practice today. This is my opinion. These are 7 essential yoga movements in my opinion. However, I don't think anybody will argue with me when you see what they are. Number 1 are spinal twists and lateral bends with the spine. So we're going to do this with our hand mudra, our Vajra mudra, which is our pointers touching, our thumbs touching, and the rest of our fingers interlaced. And we're going to start with our Vajra mudra in the center of our chest. So Vajra means hero or thunderbolt pose, a thunderbolt mudra. Inhale, bring your fingers up all the way to the ceiling. Exhale, open arms in a T. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. Left hand comes on the right thigh, right hand behind. So twists and bends, the first series of movements in the 7 essential movements. A couple more deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale, come back to center. Return to Vajra Mudra. Inhale, up. Exhale, right hand comes down, left arm beside the ear. Open up the left rib cage. So this is stretching open not only your ribs, but you can feel your shoulders stretch here too. Make sure that your sit bone stays down and breathe. Spinal movements are so healthy because they help your posture, they help you stay erect for the rest of your life. Our good yoga friend Jimmy Hatcher, if you ever watch him, his posture at age 85 is just perfect. Inhale back up. Exhale down. Back to Vajra Mudra. Inhale up. Exhale, arms in a T. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the left, right hand on the left thigh. Make sure your neck is long, your spine is vertical, your shoulders are down from your ears. A couple deep breaths here. One more deep breath in. Exhale back to center. And once again, we'll come to our power Vajra Mudra. Inhale up. Exhale, let your left hand float down. The right arm comes beside your ear. Breathe. Breathe again. And breathe again. And inhale back up. Exhale down. Okay, please bring your legs long in front of you into Dandasana, staff pose. And we'll do one more twist. Bend your right knee, bring your right knee into your chest. And then left arm grabs the right knee. Inhale, right arm forward, exhale, twist. Keep your spine long, keep your head in line with the spine. Shoulders down from your ears and breathe. Your extended foot is flexed upward. Breathe again. And breathe again. One more inhale. Exhale, back to center. Now, the second essential yoga movements are exercising the hip joints because those wear out as we get older. So before we go to the other side with this twist, let's see if we can do a half of a happy baby while we're seated. So take your right leg up as far as you can and maybe hug it with your right arm as if we were doing a happy baby. Put your hand on the outside of the foot and go only as far as your body allows here. And then just sort of rock the baby in your arms. I'm just now gently opening up the hip area. We'll do some more hip stuff today, but this is just warming up the hip area. Okay. And that foot comes back down, re-extend that leg, and then bend the left knee. Take a deep breath, inhale as you grab your knee with your right arm, and then twist to the left, parking your left hand behind you. Keep your right foot flexed, knee pointed up, several deep breaths here. One more inhale in. Exhale back to center. And now we'll do the happy baby or half happy baby this side. So somehow get your arm around your leg or even your hand or whatever works for you and just cradle that leg as if it were a baby, bringing it in toward your chest. Try not to collapse your back too much as you do this, or don't collapse it at all if you can avoid it. This is not an easy movement for a lot of people because our hips do get stiff, but we can help loosen them. And then slowly release. Okay. Move off your bolster if you're sitting on one, and we'll do another hip movement here. I'm going to go sideways so you can see. This is the seated pigeon. Just prop your hands behind you, however you like, so that you can take your right foot and cross it on to your left thigh. So you want to keep your foot flexed and slowly walk your hands up and your body up toward your leg. So push your right knee away from you as you bring your chest forward. And if you need more, you can just lift up your bottom and go closer to your leg, go closer to your leg. But just try to keep your spine long. Try to keep your shoulders down and your head in line with your neck. Keep the foot flexed and breathe. One more deep breath. Exhale, back off, unwind, and switch legs. Flexing the left foot, propping your hands behind you for support. And doesn't matter how far you can go, just go to your limit. So where you can feel a nice stretch. Everybody's hip mobility is different. And then once you get to where you think your limit is or should be, just pause and breathe. And then back off, unwind, and then come seated again. If you'd like to pop back onto your bolster, you may do so now. And if you're going to be sit cross-legged, please put the opposite leg in front that you started with, your non-habitual leg. And now number 3 on my list of 7 essential yoga movements are wrists and hands. That's another area that as we get older, our wrists and our fingers, they all get arthritic. We can't stop the aging process, but we can mitigate it greatly by doing wrist exercises and hand exercises. So I'm going to show you what you can do on your own at home. We're not going to do many of them, many repetitions, but we should repeat these like 10 times if we were to do them. So just start with opening and closing your fists. Just open, close fingers, just to warm up your hands. Okay, and then we're going to do fist flexion. So let's start with your left hand and take your right hand, hold the wrist so you don't move. You don't want to move your arm as you're doing this. So you're going to grab your forearm so that you isolate your wrist here. And then with your fist pointing down, you're going to just flex as far as your wrist will go and then come back up. And then flex downward and then flex up and then down and then up. So if you repeat that on your own like 10 times a day, that'll help your wrist. It helps carpal tunnel. Then put your wrist into neutral position and then we'll do sideways. So you're going to go in toward your body and then out and then in and out, trying to keep the wrist level with the forearm as you do the sideways twists. Okay, and that you would repeat about 10 times a day. So now we'll do a hand extension. Take your left arm forward, take your right hand on the back of your left hand and gently tug your hand towards you. Your fingers are pointing down, tugging the hand towards you. So you feel a big stretch in the top part of your wrist and in the back of your hand. And then flip the hand up and we'll do the opposite way with the fingers pointing down, palm forward, coaxing our fingers toward us. So grip strength is one thing that people lose when they get older, grip strength, you know, opening the bottle tops, the corkscrew or whatever. And this is one way we can keep it going. And you know, a lot of yoga poses use wrists, like table pose, downward dog, for example. Okay. Release that. Let's go to the right hand. We'll start with our fist flexions, down and up, holding the forearm steady so you're not moving the arm, just the wrist. And then come to neutral and then go side to side, in and out, in and out. Doesn't have to be much movement, but just feel the movement in and out. Okay, now let's do the hand extension, fingers pointing down, taking your left hand and pushing the back of your right hand down and the fingers towards you, fingers pointing down. Flip the hand up and we'll do opposite, fingers pointing down, palm facing away from you. And then release that, shake everything out there. And we'll do one more little exercise. First, I'm going to show you this mudra. It's called Padma Mudra, Lotus Mudra, where you take your pinky and your thumb together and your base of your palms together, and you spread your fingertips wide as if you're holding a ball or the sun or some kind of energy in your hands. This represents a lotus flower. This is known to be a self-healing mudra. And this is obviously stretching your fingers too, but we're going to go from the prayer position in the middle of our chest. Then we're going to push our hands down as far as we can until our palms try to separate, but don't let them. And then as we come back up, we're going to open into that Padma Mudra, where your fingers are wide, your pinkies and thumbs are touching, and the base of your palms are touching. And then you're going to go back down to your namaste hands, bring them all the way down towards your belly as far as you can to feel the stretch, and don't separate your palms. And then once again, all the way back up, and then opening that blossom into the Padma Mudra. And then release, shake them out. Okay, please come to the table position, patting your knees accordingly. So one final thing on our wrists, it's something that it may not work for everybody. We're going to start with our right hand. We're going to take from our table, we're going to take the right hand, rotate it outward from our body, and then all the way back and have your fingers point toward you, toward your heels, toward your knees. So your wrists are facing forward. Now, you may not be able to go all the way, or you may not even be able to go half the way, but do whatever works for your body today. Now, if you are having carpal tunnel, sitting at your computer for too long, just do this for a couple of seconds and it'll help. And then rotate that wrist around to release, bring that hand down, and then we'll move the left hand. So you're going to move the fingers outward, rotating outward, and then pressing them into the mat with your wrist facing the short edge of your mat, your fingers toward your knees, and breathe here for a couple of breaths. And then release that, shake it out, and then come back to table. And then we'll move on to our fourth essential yoga movements, is working the core area, of course. So in a flat back table, take a deep breath, and then exhale, come into your cat, just to loosen up the spine. Inhale, drop your belly down, extend the spine long into the cow. And then come into your flat back table. Put weight into your left hand and then twist open to the right. So even though this is a twist, this is working a lot of your belly, your core muscles, your abdominal muscles here. Take a deep breath, and then the hand comes down. Take a deep breath. Exhale, bring your right knee up to your chest, tuck your chin, nose to knee. Inhale, legs straight back. And then our balancing table, of course, is great for our core strength. Breathe. Really tighten your abdominal muscles here. Breathe. Hand comes down, knee comes back in. Put weight into your right hand, twist open to the left. Inhale, exhale, hand comes back down. With a flat back, take a deep breath. Exhale, left knee comes to the chest, tuck your chin, nose to knee. Inhale, left leg straight back, level your hips. Right arm comes up into our balancing table on this side. Breathe several deep breaths here as you think about engaging your belly muscles. One more breath in, and then the hand comes down, the knee comes in, and then we're going to come all the way down onto our bellies into the Sphinx pose. So in Sphinx pose, your forearms are parallel to each other. Your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Bring your shoulders down from your ears. Pull the mat towards you a little bit so you can feel your chest coming forward and your shoulders down from your ears. And then push into your thighs and your pelvis and rotate your thighs inward slightly as if you're squeezing something. And if you can flatten your feet and push the tops of your feet into the mat, do so there too. This is a mild back bend, chest opener. So from here, we're going to do a little bit more core work. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, tuck your toes and push into your forearms and come into your forearm plank. And when you're in your forearm plank, think about your head in line with your spine in a straight diagonal line from the crown of your head to your heels, and breathe. Breathe again. One more time. And then bring your pelvis back down into Sphinx. Uncurl your toes if you choose to. This is an active relaxation break before we come up again. Deep breath. Tuck your toes, exhale, push into your forearm plank. Really tighten those belly muscles as you do this, and breathe. Breathe. Straight line, crown of your head to your heels. One more breath, and then come back down. Good. And then put your arms in front, cross your arms, and relax for just a moment before we move on to number 5 of Yoga Essentials. And number 5 is working our back. Back bends and chest openers and shoulder openers are all one family, because anytime you do a back bend, you're opening your chest and your shoulders. So it all is all inclusive. And we're going to do this starting with the locust pose. So bring your forehead down to the mat or on something else that you want to rest it on. I'm going to keep mine up so I can talk a little bit better. Your arms are by your sides, palms facing up. Your feet are flat on the mat, just like they were for Sphinx. Your legs are coming right out of the hip sockets, hip width distance apart. You're going to push into your pelvis, just like you did with Sphinx. And then from here, you're going to raise your right leg off the mat and reach your right toes to the back of your mat. And then that leg comes down. Left leg comes up, reach your toes to the back of the mat. This is just the warm up for it. And that leg comes down. Okay, now the back bending part. We're going to lift our chest, head, and shoulders, and our hands are going to come off the mat about an inch or two, and you're going to push your fingertips to the back of the room. Bring your chest forward and pull your shoulders down from your ears. So this is bending your upper back muscles as it opens your chest and engages your shoulder muscles. And then come all the way back down. Now we'll lift both legs off the mat, keeping our head down. Both legs come off the mat, push into your pelvis, push your toes to the back of the mat. Breathe, rotate those thighs inward slightly, engage those quadriceps. Bring your feet down. Now we'll do both hands and feet. Deep breath. Exhale, lift your head, chest, hands about 2 or 3 inches off the mat, or 4. Lift your feet off the mat. Push fingers and toes to the back of your mat. Make sure your head is not crinched up or your chin is not dropping. Head's in line with your spine. Push the shoulders away from the ears. Breathe, breathe, breathe. You should feel your arms getting longer, your legs getting longer, your chest is forward. Breathe. And then come all the way down. Pause for just 1 second because we have one more to do. Now, take your hands and clasp it behind you. Clasp your fingers behind you. And then we're going to keep your feet planted as we lift our chest off the mat. pulling our hands away from our bottom and pushing our hands toward our feet. This is opening the chest and the shoulders and bending the upper back. And then all the way down, release. Bring your arms back in front to crocodile. Take a little break here before we move on. Okay, from here, please push back to table. Grab your blocks if you're using them. And step your right foot up between the blocks. Any height, you can have the blocks any height. So here's an option for you. You can keep your left knee on the mat, or you can lift your left knee off the mat. And tighten, if your knee's off the mat, make sure you tighten your quadriceps so that those muscles are engaged. And then we're gonna work our shoulders a little bit more here by swinging our right arm down in front of our face, and then all the way up, and then all the way behind. And then with breath, inhale, forward, up, exhale, back and down. Inhale, forward, up, exhale, back, down. One more, inhale, forward, up, back, and down. Bring your hands back to the block or the mat. Put weight into your left hand and twist open to the right. And then that hand comes back down. If your knee's raised, bring your knee down. Bring your foot back and switch legs so that your left foot is in between the blocks now. Make sure that your knee is above the ankle. And once again, the choice is to keep your right knee on the mat or tuck your toes and lift that leg off the mat. Engage your quadricep muscles by sort of lifting them up as you tighten them. And then your left arm will swing forward, up, and then back and down. Then with breath, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and then plant the hand down. Put weight into your right hand, twist open to the left. And then that hand comes down, knee comes down, and coming back to your table position. Okay, so this is a little bit more hip work now. We're gonna take our right knee and kick it out to the side like the dog peeing on the hydrant. And then we'll open the legs straight, perpendicular to our body. And we'll close the knee back and then bring the knee back in. Okay, so that's the movement. You might want to switch your hands around so you have the balance. Lift, straighten, bend, down. Lift, straighten, bend, down. Lift, straighten, bend, down. Lift, straighten, bend, down. Lift, straighten, pause. Bring the foot down perpendicular to your body. And then walk your foot forward. So we come into the lizard pose on this side. So you want a wide angle to the leg. You're going to come on down to your forearms, either on the block or on the mat. And your knee is somewhere near your shoulder. And your foot is forward of your head, wide angle in that leg. And then just breathe here. Relax into this wonderful hip opener. Please push back up to your hands and walk that leg back to table. And then we'll do the dog leg on the left side. Lift up, inhale, straighten, bend, and down. Inhale up, straighten, bend, exhale down. Inhale up, straighten, bend, down. Inhale up, straighten, bend, down. up, straighten, bend, down, up, straighten, pause. Foot comes down, and then walk this foot up forward for the lizard pose on this side, melting down onto your blocks or your forearms, or you can stay on your hands if that works better for you. The knee comes near the shoulder, wide angle in the leg, foot either even with your head or forward of your head. Please slowly come back up, bring your leg back down, return to table, tuck toes and go up to your downward facing dog. Bent knees, long spine. Now this is an all over body stretch. It really does all of my 7 essentials here. Your hands, your wrists, your spine, your abdominal muscles, your legs. Then the knees, walk up to your hands. And then very slowly rise up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, arms in a T. Anjali Mudra. And then come to Tadasana. So, essential movement number 6 is one-legged balance. I'm going to give you a choice here. You can do your tree pose. Everybody knows the tree pose. Or if you want a little bit more hip work here, we can do a standing pigeon or a one-legged chair. So you would take your right foot, bend your left knee, take the right ankle on top of the left thigh. This is what we did seated earlier. And then you're just going to sit down. And if you want to put your hands in Namaste in your chest for balance, and then your elbow, your right elbow can maybe rest on your right thigh to help coax it down even more. And then breathe. And then whenever you've had enough, you can release out of that and shake your body out. And we'll do the other side. So one-legged balances are not only good for your balance, but they're really good strengthening your leg muscles. So if you're going to do the chair, come into your little bit of a squat, pick up the ankle, put it on the thigh. Hands to chest. You can rest your elbow on the thigh if you like. Or else just do your tree pose here on this side. Good, everybody. Good. And then come on out of that when you've had enough fun with that. And shake everything out. Okay, so now we're moving on to my next essential, is working on leg strength, because when you strengthen your legs, you're protecting your knees. That's crucial. All the leg muscles here are protecting your knees, because that's the other joint that seems to go when we get older. So we're going to do some sideways mat movements. If you want to turn your mat, please do so now. If you want to keep it the way it is, that's okay too. It's just a little easier to see when you're going sideways on the mat. And when you get there, go ahead and spread your legs apart. Feet are parallel to each other. Toes are pointed to the long edge of the mat. And then you'll come into your 5-pointed star. Tailbone down, chest forward, shoulders down from your ears, belly in. And then we'll do a little warrior 2 sequence. Take your right toes, pivot them so that they're facing the short edge of the mat. Bend the front knee, pick up your left heel and scoot it back about an inch. So you come into your warrior two position here. Turn your head to look over the middle finger of your right hand. Now, as you're in this pose, I calculated today that I've been doing yoga regularly for over 20 years. Regularly means at least five days a week, let's just say. And during that time, if I did warrior two, say 3 times a week, I have done 3,000 warrior two poses in my life. Breathe here. Every warrior two is different. Think about sinking down into your thigh. Bring that front thigh bone into your socket. Breathe as you think about making that front leg parallel to the ground. Put equal weight in both feet. Breathe. Shoulders down from your ears, chest forward, tailbone down. Breathe. Make sure you steady up that front knee so it doesn't fall in. Now, take your right arm onto your thigh, left arm beside the ear into our side angle pose. So I've probably done 3,000 side angle poses too, but this one feels different than the one I did yesterday. Breathe. Equal weight in both feet. Back to warrior two. Now flip the right palm up. We'll do a reverse warrior. The left hand rests on the thigh as the right arm comes over your head, reaching for the back. Breathe. And then pull back to warrior two. Straighten the leg, pivot the feet forward back to 5-pointed star. Breathe here, and then we're going to take a little break here by bending the knees, coming from the hip crease. Hands come on down to blocks or the mat here. You can keep your knees bent as much as you want to here. This is a little bit of a break in between sides. Lengthen your spine long. And just relax. Try to take weight off of your hands. Bend the knees and slowly come back up. 5-pointed star. Pivot the left foot 90 degrees to the short edge of the mat. Right heel picks up, goes back about 2 inches. Warrior two pose here. Front knee is bent, back leg is straight. And then turn your head to look over the middle finger of your left hand. So you're thinking about rotating your left thigh outward so that that knee stabilizes over the ankle. You want to stick that left femur back into the hip socket. So you're almost like shifting your hips back to the right a little bit. This is a great pose for leg strength. One more breath. And then take the left arm onto the thigh, right arm beside the ear. Breathe. Pull back up, warrior two. Flip the left palm up, reach it over your head. Right hand can rest on the thigh. Reverse warrior here. Back to warrior two, arms parallel to the ground. Pivot both feet forward, straighten the legs. Come from the hips, come all the way back down, hands on the mat or a block for a little bit of a break here. Okay, bend the knees, come back up. Stabilize your body with your hands on your hips so that you can walk your feet in a little bit and then point your toes outward, heels in. And then squat down. Think about your tailbone going down so you're not sticking your butt out in the back. Your tailbone's going down. Keep your knees pointed in line with your feet here. So you're thinking all the time, rotating your thighs outward. So this is the goddess pose. So we're going to come here now into our goddess pose. Keep your shoulders down from your ears. Breathe. This is really, really good. You can feel your quadriceps work here and your calves. Now take your right arm onto the right thigh, left arm beside your left ear, and maybe straighten your left leg a little bit. And then back to goddess. Left arm on the left thigh, right arm beside the ear, straighten your right leg a little bit. This is sort of a side angle pose that we just did. And back to goddess pose. Couple more breaths here. Think about sinking your tailbone down. Breathe. Engage your belly muscles. Breathe. Okay. Straighten the legs. Pivot your feet forward. Come on down with your hands and then come all the way down to the mat. And please have your block and belt handy. And you can either have a loop in your belt or not here. Start with bent knees, flat on your back. And we're going to do some belt stretches. Take your right knee in toward your chest so that you can put the belt, either grab the strap one end in each hand or loop the belt around the foot. And then keep the left leg bent for now as you straighten the right leg up to the ceiling. Now, when you do this, the sole of your right foot is up toward the ceiling. Your shoulders are relaxed down. So have enough belt so that you can relax your shoulders and you're not tensing your shoulders here. Relax your neck here too. Relax your lower back. And now slowly extend your left leg long on the mat. Now keep hold of the belt. Keep a gentle tug with your right foot going towards your head. Think about pushing your left thigh downward so that you have a neutral spine. You don't want your back to collapse into the mat here. You want a neutral spine. And you can do that by making sure your left thigh stays down. Also make sure that your right hip is not coming up toward your shoulder. That's one way to escape the stretch here, for that hip to cock up and that side body gets shorter. So you want to make sure both ribs are equally long, so that think about your right hip going down toward the bottom of your mat. Now take the belt into your right hand and then allow your leg to open to the side, keeping the foot being pulled towards your head. You don't have to go far here, but once again, keep the left leg down and maybe bend the foot a little bit so that if your leg was to go all the way down to the mat, the toes would touch down first. But keep your left hip down. So I can feel my left hip wanting to pop up, and you may not even realize that it's popping up. So just maybe take your hand and push down on that hip crease on your left side to make sure it stays down. And breathe. This is a counter pose to all the warrior stuff that we were doing that was using our muscles to contract a lot. This is allowing them to stretch out. Okay, now bring the foot back over to center. Transfer the belt to the left hand. Now this is important to feel this the most. Take your right hand and really put your hand into your hip crease on the right side Push that hip down, and now let the leg come to the left of your center line. Keep the foot flexed, and it only takes inches to feel this. If your hip stays down, you'll feel it in 1 inch, 2 at the most. And then keep pulling the foot toward your head. And this is, again, you don't realize how much you're letting your right hip cock up and off the mat until you really focus on pushing it down. Okay, back to center. Bend the knee, remove the belt, and switch it to your left foot. Keep the right knee bent to start. Extend the left leg long, sole of the foot to the ceiling. Neutral back, shoulders relaxed, neck relaxed. Don't lock out that knee. Make sure there's a little teeny bend into that left knee so it's not locked. And then once you have a nice stretch going there, you can slowly extend your right leg. And once again, think about pushing the right side down into the mat, taking the left hip, pushing it toward the bottom of your mat so that you're not crunching up your left rib cage here. Now, please take the belt into your left hand. Open the leg out to the side, perpendicular to your body. Keep moving it up towards your head. Point the toes downward slightly so that if your leg were to touch down, your toes would touch first. And then take that right hand and push your right hip back down on the mat, because I know it's trying to creep up. Leg comes back to center. Transfer the belt to the right hand. Keep the foot flexed. Take your left hand, take the hand into the hip crease so that you don't cock up your hip, and then let your foot go to the right of center. Keep that hip down, keep that hip down. So by keeping the hip down, you're going to feel muscles that you don't use very often here. And that's why your body tries to avoid this by crunching up the hip. Bend the knee, remove the belt. Put the belt aside. Hug both knees into your chest. Roll around on your spine. And place your feet back on the mat. Grab a block. Lift your hips. And place your sacrum on the block. Either keep your feet on the mat or allow your legs to float up into the Parita Karani waterfall pose. And relax. So I might have to add an essential movement to my 7. And if I did, it would be this, an inversion. Any kind of inversion, doesn't have to be this. We did, downward dog is an inversion. Anytime your head is lower than your heart, it's considered an inversion. So we've done a lot of inversions today already. This is one that just happens to be more relaxing. Please rebend the knees, bring your feet back down. Now, take a moment here. You can either remove your block or try this with the block, with your sacrum still on the block. Extend your legs long. As long as that doesn't bother you, take your arms above your head, palms facing up. So this is a full body stretch with your sacrum sitting on the block. If this doesn't work for you, you can just do a full body stretch without the sacrum on the block. A couple of breaths here. And then bring your arms back down by your side, lift your hips, remove the block. And if you want one more little hug to the chest with your knees before you then now prepare for Shavasana, please, by extending your legs long, getting into a comfortable reclined position of your choice with something underneath your knees if you like. You just want to be comfortable and still. And the only thing that I ask is you don't crunch your neck closed. If your head has to be on a pillow, you want to make sure your throat still stays open so that your chin is not going toward your chest. And then focus on your breath, please. Slow down your breathing. So we'll be going a few minutes after 5 o'clock since we got a little bit of a late start. So if anybody has something pressing they have to do, you won't offend me if you leave, but I urge you, if you can stay for just 5 more minutes, to enjoy this wonderful relaxation period of mind and body. There's a nip of autumn in the air, and I think in a few days it's going to be autumn. So this poem by Mary Oliver I found is very pertinent for a day like today. It's called Goldenrod. Lots of imagery here. Goldenrod. On roadsides, in fall fields, in rumpy bunches, saffron and orange and pale gold. In little towers, soft as mash, sneeze bringers and seed bearers, full of bees and yellow beads and perfect flowerets and orange butterflies. I don't suppose much notice comes of it except for honey and how it heartens the heart with its black blaze. I don't suppose anything loves it except, perhaps, the rocky voids filled by its dumb dazzle. For myself, I was just passing by when the wind flared and the blossoms rustled and the glittering pandemonium leaned on me. I was just minding my own business when I found myself on their straw hillsides, citron and butter colored. And was happy, why not? Are not the difficult labors of our lives full of dark hours? And what has consciousness come to anyway so far that is better than these light-filled bodies? All day, on their airy backbones, they toss in the wind. They bend as though it was natural and godly to bend. They rise in a stiff sweetness in the pure peace of giving one's gold away. Please enjoy a few more minutes of complete relaxation. Allow your thoughts to float by like fluffy clouds. And it's okay to grab a thought for just a second and then just let it go. Please bring your awareness back to your breath and deepen your breathing as you gently wake up your body, making small movements. Please very slowly bend your knees toward your chest and roll onto your right side in a fetal position to seal the practice. And in doing so, you're sealing off the hot, masculine, bright, energetic side of your body. And you're exposing the cool, feminine side of your body, dark, calm, collected. And that calmness will carry you for the rest of your day. Please very slowly, keeping a quiet mind, push up to seated. And I'm going to do the closing chant. You can do it with me, but I can't unmute you because I found that if everybody talks at the same time, it doesn't work. So I'm going to chant. If you'd like to do it at home with me, follow along. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Victory to the Cat Rock Yoga class and to the inner teacher. Jai Shri Satguru Maharaj Ki Jai. Knuckles to my forehead honors God. Knuckles to my chin honors you. Knuckles to my heart honors myself. Namaste. And Jai Yogis. And thank you for being here. So our friend and fellow yogi